Hello, welcome to the Wedding Reporter podcast. Today we have Fallon and Chris, and you may have seen Fallon in her viral Instagram video or on TikTok. So I'll just go ahead and start reading their bio. So Fallon and Chris met at work for Reed Pop, where they build some of the biggest pop culture events together, including New York Comic Con and Star Wars Celebration. Fallon started at the company in 2014, having come from MTV News, and is now the marketing director. And Chris started in 2018, having come from Marvel as the content coordinator, and has since moved up to the event manager role. They were colleagues and friends for 5 years before they were both single at the time, and realized their friendship could turn into something more. And they began dating in 2022 and just got engaged this past February. So welcome, Fallon and Chris.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So I am so excited to chat with you guys. Fallon, I saw your video and was like tearing up, which we can talk about later. But first, I would just love to get into it. Like, how did you guys meet? I know we kind of like went through it in your bio, but like, what was it? Like, you were friends at first and then it turned into something more? Like, how did that happen?
Well, Chris likes to say that I was obsessed with him, so I'll let him start with how we got together.
That's hilarious.
We did talk about how we work together and our jobs. We love our jobs and we love creating pop culture events. It's very stressful and it's a lot of travel time. It's a lot of time on the road. Our team is very close knit. There's a lot of camaraderie there. You kind of like feel like you're in the trenches with them, most weekends out of the year when you're on site at a show. And we just became very close over many, many years and working in events and going through the pandemic. We also kind of bonded there because we had to work so much harder and so much closer together to keep the ship afloat a bit. And then it just kind of happened. Also, successfully. So.
Okay. We joke on site that before we actually started dating, when we were at shows, he would like follow me around and like pop into the marketing office just to check in. So we'll see. You get either side of the story depending on who you're talking to. But like he said, it's a very unique job that we have. This is, there's no kind of training manual for something like this. And it's very hard to explain to people who don't work with us. And so there's kind of an added benefit almost. I know people say not to date a coworker because it can get awkward or weird sometimes. But with us, I think it's so nice to have someone who understands what it's like to do this and understands the travel schedule. And the nice thing about it too is we get to travel together. So that's been a big bonus.
That is huge. That is awesome. And a very good benefit of dating somebody and being with somebody who you work with, because you are on the same schedule and it's a lot easier to plan vacations and plan things around that. And so bravo to you guys.
Yeah, it does come with its challenges. Sometimes we have to separate work Chris and Fallon from home Chris and Fallon, especially we travel together, we live together, we work from home together. So we have some pretty strict guidelines and boundaries that we try to keep to. Sometimes they bleed over a little bit, but we do our best.
That is so true. Okay, so you guys have New York Comic Con coming up. So like, what's the preparation been like for that?
Oh man, it really depends on the day. So right now we're kind of in the thick of it. So, Chris is getting a ton of emails with people asking if there are still tickets available and if they could have one. I'm getting emails about this person who needs help with promotion on social media or needs to be included in one of our emails. But we get to a point, I think, where we just want to be on site at the event in the Javits Center, kind of running around. I mean, it's really funny because when we're on at the Javits Center, it's so different than what we do day to day. We could be running lines like we're the marketing director and the event manager, and we're outside getting people into the building safely. We're working with security. We're working with the NYPD. So you really become a showrunner and kind of like a jack of all trades when you're on site. And it's so different from like being in our inbox, or right now I'm helping my team create signage for the event. And so I'm in InDesign and Illustrator. It's so different when I'm on site because I'm not able to do any of those things because you just have to tackle right what's in front of your face. And typically that's a very long line of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I have a little bit of a snippet of what you guys do because my husband is a tour manager for a band. And so he goes
Yes.
in, it's like same show but new place every day, and he's the guy that's got to go in and make sure everything's running smoothly. We meeting with security team, meeting with, and so I have a little bit of a snippet of what I
Yeah.
think your job might be, but I'm sure it's so much more than that. So
Very similar, though. I'm sure we deal with very similar things.
yeah, for sure. That is so cool. So, okay, let's take it to you created this Instagram reel, and it was I'll let you take it away and just talk about you trying on this dress.
Yeah, so we had our engagement photo shoot just a couple of weeks ago now, and I was looking for dresses to buy. And a bit of a background, I've been on a health journey, just, as Chris and I decided that we wanted to take the next step in our relationship. We decided that we wanted to try to have kids one day. And I'm 34, so already that has some complications, which is insane and silly to me, but that's
Yeah,
just the
right?
reality of the situation. And I also have PCOS. And one of the biggest things my doctor said was losing weight would really potentially help that. And also, I've kind of been to the doctor all my life where I've been told my weight was a huge factor in any kind of health issues, even though the vitals said I was perfectly healthy. So I just didn't
Yeah.
want that to be an issue down the road. I wanted to tackle that now. And so I have lost now, as of this week, I think 80 pounds since I started this.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I've just, one of the things that you face as someone who's bigger is a lot of brands aren't size inclusive. And so when I was looking for dresses, it was almost nice, even though I wish everyone could have this feeling, to finally be able to shop online and not stress so much about if a brand would fit. And so when I tried on the dress, obviously, if you've tried on a House of CB dress before, you know that zipper is like, I can't even describe it. It's like a jigsaw puzzle trying to get that zipper to zip up. And so that's standard for the dresses at all. And Chris was away traveling actually for work on a trip that I didn't go on. And so I tried to get it up myself. And then when I did and I turned around, I just got so overwhelmed because I never thought that I would be able to fit into a House of CB dress. And so I had been filming a video to send to my mom. And I looked at, I think I even looked at the phone because I went to say, I never thought I'd fit in one, and I just lost it. And I wasn't going to post the video. It was a video legitimately for my mom to show her the dress.
Right.
And then I thought about it, and being on this journey, I've had a ton of people just DM me, just my friends, since the video went viral, I've gained more followers. I've talked to more people. I've got more views on my videos. But prior to that, it was just my friends and family who were looking at my Instagram. And so, I had previously to that just gotten inquiries on what I was doing and women who I know that have similar stories. And so I decided to post it because I said, I could be posting this and all of the comments could be super negative, and I could be opening myself up to that vulnerability of online trolls, or I could post it and a woman could see it and it could make her feel like she's seen for the first time, or she might be going through something similar. I'm going to cry now. She might be going through something similar. And if that will help her, not feel alone, then that was my goal. And the overwhelming response, I think it's up to 4 million views on Instagram. And I'm still getting comments every day and DMs every day from women who feel like, they've been the ones to cry in a dressing room because stuff didn't fit. Chris was around me a lot when that happened. We go to theme parks a lot. He calls himself a theme park enthusiast. And we would be like, am I going to fit in the ride or am I not? And I've been in situations where I've had to get off of a ride because I didn't fit. And I would look at him and he would get really angry on my behalf. And I'd be like, you can't look at me right now, because if you say a word to me, I'm going to just burst into tears in public.
It's been heartbreaking.
It's been a struggle. And I wish that things like roller coasters or airplane seats or clothing brands were more size inclusive. But I had to change because they wouldn't, which is really heartbreaking. But on the flip side, it's really nice to be able to, be in a place where I can fit into some stuff that I never thought. And that's kind of where that moment came from. So it's a nice thing. I feel better. It was the right decision for me and for my health just personally. But it's one of those things that while it's a beautiful moment, it's also my heart breaks for the people who still experience things like that.
Yeah. And thank you so much for just, like you said, it was a risk to post that. You didn't know what the response was going to be. But to have such a positive response and to have just like all this support from strangers that you don't even know has just got to be like building you up so much. And to just like know that that decision, even though it was a scary decision, was the right one to move forward, and that like now you can like represent and advocate so much for size inclusivity, and that is something that does need to change. And like you said, it's like the airlines, the like a lot of things in everyday life like should be able to adapt for everybody. And so for you to say that and to just have that stance and advocate for it, I just highly admire you, just for putting yourself out there with all of that.
Thank you.
And the dress is beautiful. I love it. It looks like
stunning.
gorgeous on you. I was just like, oh my goodness, like overcome with emotion. And then like I watched it and I was like, this brand better have sent her more dresses. And then I like looked at more of your videos and I was like, good, they did. They're a good brand. They know like they should do this. And so, but like in that second video, could you explain more like what happened with that?
Yes, in an ironic turn of events, they sent me 3 dresses, which I hadn't expected. I thought they were just going to send one, and they sent me 3, and 2 out of the 3 actually didn't fit. So the ones that fit and the ones that I realized fit my body type and the size that I'm currently at are ones that have stretch in them. But traditionally, House of CB dresses are very small. They run tiny. So this is pretty much the standard of what people I think who shop with them expect. And you know what? I said, cool, sometimes the dress fits and sometimes it doesn't, but that doesn't affect my self-worth or who I am. And so the ones that fit, I wore in the engagement shoot. I had a vision we can go into later if you'd like about that engagement shoot, but I wore both a white one and a red one and it came out beautifully.
Yes, totally. I know. And I was like, I was so glad that you like were totally transparent with that too, with like trying on all 3 and just being like, you know what, this is the one that works and it's beautiful and this is the one I'm gonna wear. And so yeah, once again, with your transparency and everything, it's just been awesome. Okay, but yeah, let's definitely talk about the engagement. So I saw another one of your videos that is just so beautiful and so amazing. Can you guys walk us through that whole process?
Yeah, I'm going to toss this one to Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to give credit to her. I mean, she always has a vision for these things, and she's so much more detail oriented and better at project managing this stuff than I am. And we love pop culture. Obviously, pop culture is what brought us together as a couple. But like we love going to the movies. It's almost like a religious experience for us. We go to the movies once a week. Even before we were dating, Fallon always talks about how she has very fond memories of daddy-daughter dates with her father, taking her to the movies. I used to live at the movies when I was a kid and all through high school and college. So we wanted to do something that sort of spoke to our love of movies for our engagement shoot. And she found this wonderful movie theater called the Lafayette Theater in Suffern, New York, just a little bit further up from us in Lower Westchester. Beautiful theater, wonderful old marquee. It's been there for about 100 years, and we did our engagement photo shoot there. It felt personal for us because of our connection to a place like that, but also it made for some truly amazing and unique photos. Like I haven't seen any engagement photo shoots that are of that caliber or that unique. And Fallon and I are already talking about potentially submitting these to some wedding websites and some bridal magazines and stuff like that. They turned out better than I could possibly imagine, and I have to give a lot of credit to our wedding photographers who shot our engagement shoot. We got to meet them for the first time doing that engagement shoot, and we just genuinely are over the moon about them and can't wait to work with them on our wedding day.
Oh, that's so cool. And to be able to like have your photographer understand your vision and for it to just like totally come across in your photos, that's probably like even better than you expected. And yes, I loved the whole theme as far as like your history. It's like incorporating so much of who you guys are into the photos, which is really cool. Instead of just like standing in a field and being like, okay, we can pose here and pose here. It's like, no, like movies are very important to us. Pop culture is like so important to us, and like let's do this in a really cool theater. And it was really cool. I loved those photos. So as far as like popping the question goes, like, Fallon, were you totally caught off guard as far as like, or were you kind of suspecting it to happen?
Yeah, so September, so we got engaged earlier this year in February, and in September is when we first looked at rings together to just kind of see what I might like or what I might want. He really wanted to make sure he got me the exact ring that I wanted, or at least like he had an idea. So we went to pick one out. He knew exactly what I wanted, but I really thought we weren't going to get engaged until closer to this time of year, like the closer to the fall or end of the year. And so I was very shocked. He kind of set it up with one of my really good friends who's in our bridal party, Savannah, and her husband came and took photos. And that's very normal. Savannah and I do a photo shoot every year for our birthday. We've done, February 14th photo shoots for Valentine's Day. We've done a bunch of little different photo shoots just for ourselves and for our Instagram because we have fun. It makes us feel confident. Yeah. And so she set one up at the Cloisters. And it should have tipped me off. And there's actually a text message chain that I have from Savannah saying, I'm glad this is at the beginning of the year, not the end of the year, because I would be really nervous because it's the perfect place to get engaged. And so I had said to Chris in passing, like randomly, last year, oh, the Cloisters would be the perfect place to get engaged because it's stunning in there and it's like such a cute place. And so we set up this whole like fantasy photo shoot. And then he was taking pictures of me. I had no idea. Like the video shows right before I'm like moving my arms around and like dancing. Like I have no idea he's behind me with like a ring box ready to propose. And I turned around. Yeah. And I think the video we captured actually has me saying, no, you're not. I think I said it 3 times because I really was like, he's not so proposing, right? Like, and I think in my mind, like prior to that, I was like, could he be? Because I made this comment in passing and I was like, no, there's no way. It's way too early. And so I was really caught off guard, but it was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. He, not only did he do that, but he also later on, which I did figure this part out. But later on that night, he set up a dinner with both of our immediate families and our close mutual friends. And so we had like a nice little engagement dinner and got to celebrate with everybody.
Oh, that is so cool. Yeah. And yeah, the setting, the Cloisters, like you said, it was just like gorgeous. Yeah. And like I loved the black attire in that. Your dress was so gorgeous. You guys looked so good for the photo shoot.
She loves a good gothic romance. She's also incredibly hard to surprise. So I take a lot of pride in the fact that I was able to figure that out and get one over on her.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm sure. Yeah, and for her and to do it like way earlier than you were planning, like that is always a good like catching her off guard sort of a move. So bravo, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you guys got engaged and did your engagement shoot and everything. So you guys, you're 2026, is that correct? When your wedding date is? Okay, gotcha. So take me through like what's your wedding planning process been like so far?
Chris is smirking because this is probably unique to me as a type of person, and who also happens to be an event planner. But the majority of our wedding is actually planned already.
Wow, amazing! Yeah.
Not only is the majority of our wedding almost done, but the majority of our wedding was done within like a month and a half. Like, I mean, she sat down like the week after and we figured out a budget. We had venue visits booked. We had a list of photographers that we wanted to go after. We had a guest list, like all that stuff. So it's great because it's mostly done now and we can kind of enjoy being engaged and we can slow the pace up a little bit here and not feel too stressed about it.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Get it done. I like it.
We had to really start with, I think that guest count and that budget was key for us because, and we still have gone way over budget than we thought we were going to, but
it happens to all of us. Yeah.
And so we started with that because that's really, the crux of everything is how many people will you have? That's the first question. And then where is it? And so we knew getting our guest list down, or at least an idea of roughly what our minimum would be, and then nailing down our venue so we could nail down the date. It would just help everything else fall into place. So those were our 2 priorities when we first got engaged and started planning.
That's awesome. That's so good. And now it's like you guys have over a year to just sit back and enjoy, and maybe little detail things will come up every now and then, but it's like you have the majority of it out of the way. And I think that's a big piece of advice that a lot of engaged couples are recently married couples say on this podcast, and that I advocate for too, is to like enjoy being engaged, because it's only going to be this certain amount of time in your life, and you want to look back on it and know that like you weren't super stressed, and to just like enjoy time together. And so I think that's really important that you guys have done that already. And a lot of people aren't even engaged yet and will probably get married around the time you're getting married. And so I think it's going to be a great just time of your life to be engaged. Okay, so I think I saw this on your Instagram, but what is your wedding style? I'm so excited for you guys to talk about this.
Yeah, so I had, like Chris said, I have a huge vision. So one of the things I did early on was create a mood board. And I basically went through my Pinterest, because I'm one of those girls who has had stuff on their Pinterest since like 2014 of like their dream wedding, you know, or even earlier than that when I was in college. And so I have all this stuff, and I had to go through and really like, okay, this is not my vibe anymore, and delete a ton of stuff. And I narrowed it down to, I think the kind of tagline that I've been using to describe it. So I'm, like you said, a big fan of Gothic romances. And so I wanted it to feel like that. And so it really should feel like Dracula invited you to like a very upscale party. So that's so kind of what we're going with. Yeah, thanks.
So good.
So the florals will be dark, moody. I want to lean into like reds, burgundies, maybe some light pinks and peaches. And then our engagement suite, or our wedding suite, for stationery is also has that similar vibe. So we hired one of my friends to design it all for us. So it looks like our actual invitation looks like as if you were in Dracula's castle overlooking a garden, was kind of the theme.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so good. That's so fun.
Yeah, I love bats too. So we wanted to incorporate that, and that kind of fits in with the Dracula vibe as well. And then we just kind of then took the station. So stationery is one of those things that I was like, we don't need to budget a ton for that. We'll just like print it somewhere local and it'll be fine. Like I don't need a welcome sign. I don't need all these things. And then we got the designs back, and I like put them into a welcome sign and put them into a bunch of stationery, and I went, oh no, we need to print these and we need to make them nice. So, so that kind of, those little touches that just really make it personal and unique to us, I think I have found become really, really important when I started budgeting. So we have made room and space for a lot of that, but we're going to have our bridesmaids and our groomsmen in all black. So black dresses down floor length. And then Chris, I'll let you talk about what you're going to wear that will also kind of fit that pop culture vibe.
So my desires for weddings I really just want to be marrying somebody that I want to spend the rest of my life with. I've never had a ton of like, this is what I want the mood to look like, and this is what I want the vibes to be. I leave that to her, and I support her 100% on really what kind of aesthetic she wants. I want to have a really amazing, cool party for all of our friends and family. And that's really the chief, most important thing that I want our wedding to be. It's one of the last times in your life that you are the center of attention, and everyone is there to celebrate you and have a good time. And I'm just so excited for Fallon and I to be the center of attention. If we're going to be the center of attention, I want to look cool. I want to look as cool as humanly possible. And to me, the epitome of cool is Sean Connery as James Bond. So I have always had it in my head that I wanted to look like James Bond at my wedding. So I'm going to go off of the Sean Connery in Goldfinger look, which is a white tuxedo jacket with a red carnation. And that fits Fallon's aesthetics from a burgundy red mood board, but I can still look very cool. So I'm very excited about it.
Done. That is going to look amazing with the Dracula theme looking like James Bond. Like it all meshes. I can envision it and picture it. That is so cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love this so much. I can't wait. I'm going to have to wait over a year, but I will to see your wedding photos, but I'll be following along, no doubt.
Hopefully they look as good as our engagement ones.
So. Yeah. I mean, if you have the same photographer, I'm sure she will. Yeah. She knows your style and everything. Amazing. And if you're happy with those, I'm sure they'll turn out really well. Okay. Is it a winter wedding?
Or when? January.
Okay.
January
Nice.
2026. We actually did that because we wanted it to be off peak. And so we thought that might help with pricing. It turns out it really just helps with venue pricing and the price per person. But that was still fine for us. It turns out a lot of vendors don't offer an off peak rate, but they'll like try to lock you in if you book earlier. And then the other thing is I get very hot easily. I'm like always overheated. And so I was like, I can't do this. I can't be sweating or like have my makeup running. Like I want to be cool. I want it to be cold. Like that's my preference temperature wise. So I was like, we're going to do January. Mom was like, what if it snows? I said, I don't care. As long as I'm not sweating, like I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I'm not paying so much money for makeup only to be like, oh, my hair's falling out and you could see all the shine on my face.
I totally get that. I would be the same way. Exactly. So is it going to be like in New York or Northeast, like where you guys
Yes.
are? Okay.
Yeah, we booked a venue in New Rochelle in New York, so we'll have everything
Awesome.
there. And then we also having both our ceremony and our reception there, and we're throwing an after party there. So it just makes it easy for people
Fun.
traveling in. Everything's at one venue. Once you arrive, that's it. You're there until you decide to leave. So
Yeah,
hopefully
and
that.
we both have big families, most of which are relatively local to the tri-state area, but we have a lot of coworkers because we work together that we want to invite, and they're all over the country. So we really just wanted to have something that was a very easy, centralized location for people.
Yeah, for sure. That's really smart. So guest count wise, how many people are you thinking?
Wait.
Well, we're trying to get it down to 200.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
it's hard, I'm sure, with you guys knowing so many people and having big families and everything. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that is the hardest part. That's
definitely.
so cool. All right. So, I do have another one of the last questions for you. What advice would you give other couples who are in the planning process right now?
first,
Sure. I would say, I mean, we touched on this a little bit, but enjoy it. It can get very overwhelming. I think I went through almost like a roller coaster of emotions because I was so excited. Everyone was so happy for us. And then I would start to get quotes in and I would get really discouraged because everything I really wanted didn't fit within my budget. But you can throw a beautiful wedding within your budget, no matter what it is. And I think it's really important. I guess I'll say this since we already said to enjoy this time, but prioritize what you really want and stick to that. For me, it was having an incredible photo and video team because other than walking away with Chris as my husband, that's what I was going to walk away with. And so were those memories. And so for me, we prioritize that. And for him, we're prioritizing having a wedding that's at least 200 people. And so those were the two things we focused on. And we said everything else we have to give and take. I really wanted a string quartet for the ceremony and the cocktail hour, but we can only really get it for the ceremony. So, we're throwing away the cocktail hour portion for that. And we're going to use a playlist and that's okay. So I think it's just kind of figuring out what your priorities are, sticking to those so that you can get something that's really special for you, and then letting everything else just be what it is, kind of.
mine, kind of piggybacking on what Fallon said. She said it a lot more eloquently than I can or would, but everyone has a lot of opinions and expectations about what your wedding should be. Don't listen to them. It's your wedding and it's your day, and at the end of it, like if it's exactly what you wanted it to be, that's the most important thing. Your parents, your friends, your family, they all have expectations, but it needs to be what you wanted it to be. So prioritize that.
Wow, that is such great advice, you guys. Like, after being through it and these past few months that you've gone through it and you pretty much have your wedding planned already, like, those are great words of advice that everyone should follow. I 100% agree with everything you guys said. So, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, all right. So, is there anything else that you guys want to share, like upcoming projects besides like everybody come out to Comic-Con and say hi?
The Thursday tickets left, yeah. We are really excited. Obviously, we just got our engagement photos back, so I've just been like looking through all of those nonstop. We're putting together our save the dates. One of the last things we have to book is like hair and makeup, and I'm going dress shopping hopefully soon.
Yay!
So more dresses
fun.
coming.
Yay! Oh, I can't wait to
try them
follow
on.
along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're really excited. I think all the designs coming together was a huge thing for us. And we worked with our florist to have candelabras on the tables. So I'm just
Beautiful.
we have this done so soon that I'm like, oh my gosh, is it really over a year until we actually get to be there and see it all come together? But it's nice to have some space to enjoy this, like Chris said. So yeah, that's what's coming up.
Yeah, that's so exciting. That's so cool. So where can everybody find you online so everyone can see your videos that you post and just all of your beautiful engagement sessions and things like that?
Yeah, thank you. I am on Instagram primarily, but also TikTok at I am Queen Fal.
Love
And you
it.
can probably see me more in her Instagram, but if you were looking for mine, you can find me mostly on Instagram at Delando Calrissian.
Awesome. That's so fun. I get that joke. It's Star Wars joke. Oh man, I know. I read your bios and my son is 6 right now and just super into Marvel, and I was like, "Adler, I get to interview somebody who worked at Marvel." And he was just like, "Oh, I mean."
You can tell by all the comic books behind him and the Captain
Yes.
America shield signed by Chris Evans.
Yeah, totally. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and like it may not look like it from what's behind me, but this also doubles as my son's room, kind of, or like it used to be his room. He shares one now with his sister, but like in front of me, I have like Spider Rex poster, a Flash poster, like Venom, like all these things that I look at on this side of the room
I
that's
say that
not a
from my own
podcast
heart.
studio.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so it's funny. Yeah, I love it. So very cool.
Perfect.
I
He's one of
loved
us.
interviewing you guys. This was seriously so much fun. And yeah, follow along. And oh my gosh, congratulations. I'm so
Thank
happy for you
you. Thank you
guys.
so much. This was amazing.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thank-
Thanks for tuning in to the Wedding Reporter podcast. I hope you learned a little bit and had fun today. To find more resources and podcast episodes, visit NashvilleBrideGuide.com for more information. And as always, click the subscribe button and leave us a review. Until next time, I'm Alyssa DeChico, signing off.